We are back on South Philly Sauce, not as the original, brought to you by 94 WIP and Jack Daniels. It has been a while. We celebrated the new year, the holidays, all the things. But last time we left you, we were feeling good. Things were good, promising. Now we're back. Things aren't so good. And that's not what the new year is supposed to bring out.
Well, I love the Cam York quote. Vibes are high. Well, vibes aren't high anymore.
No,
vibes have certainly kind of got a bit lower on what's happened a little bit. So it was that great start to the season, and you go out west, and it was really iffy. It was it could have gone either way, and then you had a McDavid situation, which a lot of teams run into. And then a really tough game back home against Columbus, where, we're doing the post-game show, pre-game show. And you showed me that what we do before with the odds. Yep. And I looked at the odds makers' odds, but the Flyers were a huge favorite. And I looked at it and said, that's crazy on what's gone on here and the situation where they are right now. It just didn't look that way to me. And Sure enough, the Flyers lost the game that kind of didn't look like this season. I mean, They've been so good in overtimes and shootouts. Like, you felt good. And then it ended with you got a point, but this point, Ashlyn didn't feel good. And at this point in the season, the vibes have certainly gone down a bit.
No, it feels like you lost a point. And that leads us to the question, was this the worst loss of the season? And I'm seeing a lot, and I kind of agree with it. And I'm trying to take a step back because I think with the way this team has played all year, we have to give them the benefit of the doubt that this is not the same old Flyers. They're now not going to lose 10 and go on a skid. They're in a rough patch, and give them the chance to fight their way out of it. And it'll be back to the new era of orange and all the good things we've been seeing. But that loss against Columbus, your first game back at home in a really long time, the crowd was awesome. They were all out to see, the tickets, the suites were sold out. I was trying to get tickets. I couldn't get them, which is a great sign. And it looked like last year's team at times. You gave up a 2-lead goal, and, overtime didn't look like overtime in this season. And you just lost to a team you should have beaten. You lost to a bad team who isn't playing that bad, but you looked at this schedule in this game. And you said, oh, the Flyers need to win that game. And they didn't. And
it did. I mean, it did look like a throwback, I guess I would call it, to a really recent past where you got a lead, let it go, and just you didn't feel secure in the whole game. I thought the goaltending was fine, one bad goal maybe, but I mean, you should score more. So I mean, it did bring back bad memories of what's happened in the recent past. As far as the team coming back, I think everybody should remember that there's been warning signs all along that, boy, is this sustainable? Is this model right here sustainable? And it looks like their model might be sustainable, but other teams might have changed their model. And that's going to...
Yeah, we heard from Sean Couturier yesterday pregame, and I thought he said it best that the Flyers earlier this season, and the identity that we've always said is, oh, the Flyers outwork people, and they're violent, and they're hard-hitting, and Torts wanted to be, no, we're faster than teams. We skate harder and faster than teams. And Coots was saying, we are faster than teams. The problem is teams are catching up to us. Now we don't have that as an advantage anymore. They are skating the exact same speed as us. We saw that in Columbus, even though the Flyers to start the game were in their zone. It felt like the whole first period. Torts said at post game that you had that 2-0 lead and you gave it away like that. They barely played with that lead.
No, they barely played with that lead. And I think when you really look at it, Coots is so important to the team. And he's almost like listening to a coach speak afterwards when you see what goes on. So, yeah, the fact that they barely played with that lead, that quick goal against them cost them so badly, just in terms of confidence of what's going on. And that's where they may be a little bit fragile right now. And just the spot they were in the schedule. I don't believe necessarily in schedule losses, but I believe in tough games because of the schedule. And this was going to be one of them. So a goal like that can really affect you. That wasn't a particularly good goal, but I mean, even won a game for Erson's played so well. But I think that changed their whole mindset in their ability to push the game. Instead, I think they kind of circled back a little bit and didn't play as aggressive.
Fragile is a great word for that. And it does feel like that, right? And I'm trying to think why. Like, why all of a sudden does it feel so different? It's only been a couple of weeks. Granted, they've only won one game in their past 7 games, but they've gotten some overtime points. You're in the wild card spot. Like, I'm like trying to talk to myself, like, Ashlyn, it's fine. Like, chill out. Everything's gonna be fine. But it doesn't feel fine, right? Or am I being
No, it doesn't feel fine because they don't have a history of being fine. Like if you're the Edmonton Oilers, even who struggled at the beginning of the year, they changed the coach. But if you're Pittsburgh or you've been there, you've had success, the players have been through it and say, okay, we'll get out of this. But with this team, with the recent history, their confidence is fragile as a cornflake. I mean, that's where you are right now. And if things start to go the other way, they've got some issues trying to come back into it. Even if they're this season, things have happened, they don't have a history of it. They don't, and that's why when the coaching staff and the management try to say they're building a climate, if you will, they're trying to build that climate that we're going to be okay. We can get through this, but it's still a work in progress. And the problem is you've got guys like, you've got some veterans going through it, but you guys like Forster and Brink and Frost and guys like that. It's like they have to live through this and kind of get their confidence level that when things go wrong, you can still push back the other way.
Right. And you got to give them the benefit of the doubt that can happen, which leads us to Lost in the Sauce. And there's a lot of questions going on right now about the Flyers and the lineup decisions. We saw a lot of weird things going on against Columbus, and my loss in the sauce has to be Cam Atkinson. He was a healthy scratch against Columbus. He has been, gosh, I don't even know how to say it, unnoticeable the past month. And, Torts gave him, I thought, a really long leash. And I think you have to give a guy like Cam Atkinson a longer leash than maybe some other guys, but he just isn't producing goals. That's what he is there to do. At one point in the season when he wasn't scoring goals, he was still getting high quality chances and making an impact. Truthfully, I haven't seen that the past 2 weeks, and this stinks because this is the guy you need. This is a guy that's so well liked to us, to the locker room, fought his way back from injury. This is supposed to be his comeback year, and he has to deal with the blow of a healthy scratch against Columbus as well. And you needed him. I mean, they went with 11 forwards, 7D. A lot of questions. Was that the right move? Because some people say that cost the team because the forwards they had out there looked so tired come shootout.
Yeah, that was Atkinson, he was noticeable for a bit because he had the chances, like you said.
Right.
But as the coaching staff said, you can only live so long with getting the chances when you're a guy like Atkinson. You got to finish. And I think the end of his leash, as you called it, on Atkinson came in the previous game when you could just literally watch the game and see the frustration. Shot goes wide, he slams the stick on the ice rather than chasing somebody down the ice, because it was just this is such a long period not being able to score for him. And then there was the penalty that led to the huge goal against them, and that's just a frustrated player who doesn't usually do things like that. And I think if Tortorella and whomever can certainly read body language on what's going on, and this is a guy that is just inside his own head right now. And you're a veteran player with kids around. You start to wonder, can I still do this? And I'm not saying that they can. I'm just saying that I don't care if you're Gretzky or Lemieux or Bedard at this age. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you start counting the games and you haven't scored. You start to wonder what's going on here. Yeah. And he's so. I think for his Christmas gift, when you asked what do you give the Flyers, I said magic mittens to get him to score a goal. Because honestly, I was like, just get one, and
it doesn't even matter how. Just do one.
Yes, things will go your way, and that hasn't happened. And so I think that, if you're a coach and you've got young players, and you're benching this guy and that guy, and you've got a veteran player that's played for you before, and he's not getting piped, and you wonder what's going on. So yeah. I think it was a case of, frankly, it was a lot. It took a lot longer than many people anticipated. I was wondering along, but I kept thinking all he needs is the one, and it just wasn't coming.
You were hoping he was going to get the one before the scratch, because knowing Torres, you knew this scratch was coming. I mean, we were talking about it 2 weeks ago Like, all right, like, he better kick it into high gear. This is going to happen. Like, you just knew it was a matter of time before this happened.
Yeah. And, you see this happening, and Torts is a guy that, if you go to the vending machine and the candy or the soda doesn't come out, he ain't going to wait. He's going to bang on the machine and push more buttons. And so I think that's what, that's what's going to happen with his lineup. He's going to do things like that are going to be, like, to be honest, confusing at times.
And it was confusing, but they haven't been playing up to par. So you got to make some changes. I get it. And now, Al, the Flyers power play, take it away.
Yeah, that's my loss. Am I lost in the sauce? I mean, it's lost in time. We've been talking. It's just been 2 seasons now. It's like, what is going on with this power play? I mean, it's not just bad for a brief period of time. It's just been, it's in their DNA now, and in their head. It's like, this is what it is. Like, you look at it. In this game, they had a 5-on-3 basically for over a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and went player without a stick for about a minute. So it's 5-on-2.5 because no man with no stick, and they can't score. Now the goalie was terrific, but I mean, it's come to the point where it's almost silly when you start looking at it. They're getting looks. Yep, you're getting looks, but we just talked about Atkinson. He's getting looks, but he's not scoring goals. So it comes a time you sit him. Can't sit the power play. I mean, it's an old joke. Decline the penalty, but it's ridiculous. Yeah. But they're better shorthanded. I mean, that's where it is right now. And I've covered this game for a bazillion years, and I've seen power plays go cold for a while. But I don't think I've ever seen anything like this where it's just kind of baked into the season.
Yes. And last season.
And last season. So it almost changes a game. Like, it almost changes a game plan. Be physical. Get in their way. We're not scared. We're more scared of their PK than we are of their penalty, their power play.
Yeah.
And I
give it to them.
Yeah. I thought maybe, okay. I've even said, it looks like maybe Zamula. Now, maybe it was Provorov before, couldn't get the shot throw. Then it was D'Angelo. Is he going to be here for the power play? Then it was Brink when we put him on the sidewall and have 2 left-hand shots or right-hand shots, however we want to use it on the other side. Maybe it's a double net front presence. Maybe it's Farabee out front. And at times it looked like any of that could work. But I wonder now if you just don't. And I feel bad for the coach, Thompson. I mean, he's like, he tried everything. Yeah. But I'm wondering now if you don't just go back to, they had plan A, B, C, D, literally plan Z with big Z on the blue line. Maybe you go back to A. Just, okay, we're just going to play this with 2 net front presence and just launch the puck, and we'll go from there. I don't know where you go. Yeah, I
know with what's up.
Yeah, to me, it's like, all right, get Adam Oates on the phone, the power play specialist, and let's send him video and see what he can talk us through here. Or just forget about it. I mean, back in the day, Mike Keenan would just say, we're not practicing the power play. It's doing us no good.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, the saying being a dead horse, like and they do. We see it at practice. They are working on it. And
to
most it's like, I hope they're working on it. But like, no, it's to the point now where it's like, just don't work on it anymore.
Maybe you don't work. Maybe you just, here, we're going to practice the power play and we're having no defenders. We'll go like that. I have no answer, and it's a horrible question to be asked as a coach.
I don't want to ask that question towards.
Well, you stand up there and you do not have an answer.
It's clear they don't have the answer, or else. And we always say this on the show when I ask you and Scott, and I was like, "What's wrong? How do they fix it?" And you look at me like, "I don't know."
We sit next to Hart. No one's a great power play player. Just get in front of the net and chip things, and you try to do it, and it's just not working there. Yeah. So I mean, it's you hate to just say we surrender, but you wonder if it isn't. We're just going to go. But we're going to be like the Penguins, who couldn't get a power play going and had to win other ways, and then eventually you think it just works.
Yeah.
But this is so long. I don't think I can just say it's ever going to work.
I don't think it's going to work this year, or else it would have worked by now. And you're lacking stars. You're lacking crucial offensive pieces on that. But I will say, and I was thinking about this when I was looking at the schedule before this recording, that game against Columbus was really the first game I felt like the power play lost them the game. There have been, I mean, every game, the power play is not a bonus to the game, but they're able to do other things to cover it up. And we always talk post-game in the post-game show about bad power play, but we look at things and we go, but look at all these other things they did well. Whereas Columbus, I was like, no, that is the reason they lost. Because if you would have scored on that 5-on-3, you would have had the momentum keep going. The Flyers should have won that game 5-2. And instead, you lost.
Yeah, there's been a couple others where they could have had a margin for error with the power play. Mm-hmm. But and the other team does get some energy, as the Flyers did with the penalty kill. Yep. I think Montreal's got a terrible penalty kill. I'm curious if that might not be the unlock everything on what's coming up. But yeah, you're right. That was the game where you could go through all the analytics that you want in that game. And, he could be from Mars and never seen a hockey game and come down and looked at that game and said, wait a minute, this team's got 2 more players on the ice at least here. And one of them doesn't have a stick over there and they can't score. This is not good. Yeah, that's why they lost the game.
It was. I mean, my mom came to the hockey game last night, and I had friends there who don't follow hockey that closely. And when I came up, they're like, "Oh man, they really should have scored on that power play, huh?" And I was like,
"Well, yeah. Well, you should have got your mom to sit in for Hartnell. She could have sat on the desk and give us the analysis after the game."
That would have been fantastic. That would have been must-see TV. And there are, I guess, more as we close up this podcast, there's a couple more lineup decisions I wanted to talk to you about, because we didn't really talk about it much in the post-game show because I think we were still stunned by the shootout. But we were expecting in the shootout, and this goes into some of the confusing things right now that we're seeing on the ice. Sean Couturier is out first. Okay, we know that by now. But I thought with the game that Travis Konechny, and Tippett had, and maybe, yes, I'm sure they were gassed, but you want to be in the shootout. I thought it'd be TK and Tippett. Instead, it was Bobby Brink, Tyson Forrester. Flyers lose in the shootout. Were you confused by that also?
Yeah, I was confused by that with Konechny's night. Maybe he just was too tired. I don't know.
Yeah, and maybe.
That was because of the lineup decision. It made for a lot of ice time for guys. But mm-hmm. I know maybe try to get guys going. Don't forget, you're also this is what we keep being told. There's 2 tracks going on here, development and this season.
That's true.
So, I mean, they've got that going on. And, as much as everybody's pointing at Atkinson, Forster's a guy that's supposed to score goals, and it's been a long time. So maybe that's where he gets unlocked or whatever. Yeah, true. So, I mean, I can sort of see that. But maybe they're also depending on a Ersson who's so good in the shootouts that he's going to bail you out anyway.
So just put anyone out there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think anyway. And by the way, I just want to remind you before we go, the Philadelphia Sports Writers thing is coming up. They have an annual, fans can come and everything. It's 119th, so it's a big deal. Mm-hmm. And they're gonna, it's going to be some awards. And Steve Coates, and he's going to get an award for it with Tim Saunders. So they're going to get something that's going to be a great thing. Coots is going to be like the most friendly player of the year. Like he's going to get the sportsmanship thing, and it's going to be 50 years, believe it or not, since the Flyers won the Cup. So they're going to be honored in this thing. It's January 17th over in Cherry Hill at Doubletree. Go to PhiladelphiaSportsWriters.com to get tickets. And you should go to this. It really is pretty cool. And Coots is such a good guy. He gets basically the good guy award for this. Aww. So he's going to get that. And then Timmy and, when Coates's involved, it's going to be fun anyway.
It's a party.
It's going to be a party. So just go, you can get your tickets still. It's January 17th. I got an award last year for being old and still doing it. And so it's going to be a really fun night.
You're a Hall of Famer and you know it. But yes, buy your tickets. That sounds really cool and very well deserved for Sean Couturier because he is one of the good guys. That's for sure.
Cool.
And now as we close this, we got to talk about getting right. The Flyers coming up on their schedule, Calgary, and then the Penguins. I said it against Columbus, and now I'm going to say it again. Calgary on Saturday is a must win. Dang it.
Well, must win.
But it's the rest of the season.
If they lose, what they risk losing is the faith that's gone on right now with the building starting to get full again, and you hate to mix the business with this actual record with the team, but it's part of it. Yeah. And that building's it's tough to get tickets right now, which is a testament to the fans here in Philadelphia. And, they've got a stretch to go here before they hit the break. A break where they have, basically it's a pretty tough stretch here. So this to me is a big game to come up. I mean, they're all going to be important with the number of points you can get, and then lose your spacing in the standings. And just to come off what happened, and for the coach, it's a big game. Those lineup decisions weren't second guessed; they were guessed before the game. Mm-hmm. So that's a big game right there. I mean, assuming Hart and goal, that's a big game to come back here. And it's a big game. I don't know if Atkinson's going to be in the lineup, what it's going to be. Forster, I think, is under some heat right now to get going. So, no, it's really important. And God knows this is what you'll learn about Philadelphia coming in right now. If they get an early power play in this game and they don't score, that building is going to get loud and not in a good way.
Yes, and I can't blame them, truthfully, for what they have watched and observed. And the lineup changes, I'm here for it. I can't wait to see what that lineup is going to look like on Saturday, because good luck predicting that. And that is South Philly Sauce, an Odyssey original, brought to you by 94 WIP and Jack Daniels. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you early next week.
Thank you.